Oh, come on. You can hear me. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much, Creative Mornings and the WeWork space. That's it. You guys have been a lovely audience. So thank you very much. Drive safely. Bye. Thank you. It would be great to start at the ending of my talk, seeing that the theme today is the end. But before I begin, thank you so much everyone for coming. It's so beautiful to see some people that I know and love here, and then also some people that I don't know and that I don't love. Yeah. Yes, so thank you so much. Also, that's so special and lovely. I almost had a little tear earlier on. So before I begin talking about the end, I think it's important that I jump back to the beginning of me, so you have a brief understanding of how I ended up here. So, my name is Roberto Pombo. I'm a performer, theatre, educator, and I've always had a love for performance and theatre and acting. There's this incredible video of me and my sisters. It's our first day of school, and my little sister walks out the door and she goes, "Hello, I'm going to grade 1. And then my older sister walks out and she goes, "Hello, I'm going to stand at 5. And then I walk out and I go, "Hello, I'm going to grade 2. It's amazing. Very clearly, I love performing and I was gay. So this love of performance stayed with me throughout primary school and then also into high school where I was doing one-act plays. And then I was like, lekker, I want to go study performance. Also, I grew up in Krugersdorp. Cute. So I went to Wits to go study theatre, and then I wanted to be an actor, so I wanted to be famous also. So I left Wits and I went into the industry, and I tried to be famous, and I was acting. And then I realized, hold on, I don't want to be famous. I want to make theatre. So I was like, lekker, I want to go study more. So then I went to this incredible school in Italy and I studied how to make theatre at the school and it was great. And then I came back to South Africa and then I made some theatre and then I helped other people make theatre. And then I also did some jobs for money, which was fine because I got the money. And then I taught also for money, which was also fine because I got the money. And also, I was on Generations. It was a highlight of my career. I was so bad. My agent phoned me afterwards and he was like, "Yo, you looked very nervous." It was so awful. So yes, this teaching that I started doing for money, I was like, that's purely how I started teaching, just because I needed money. But then I realized, hold on, I actually like teaching and I'm actually quite good at it. So I was like, lekker, I need to study more. So I was like, I'm going to get my master's so I can open more opportunities for myself to teach. And then I enrolled in this amazing pedagogic training, again in Italy at the same school, the Holocaust International School of Theatre Creation. And I went to do this training, and then I got back to South Africa, and then I spoke to Ross on the phone, and we were like, Creative Mornings talk, great. And then 8th of August, and now it's here. And it's happening right now, and I'm talking to you about the end, and our lives have come together in this present moment, and look how amazing this all is, right? Beautiful. Okay, so that is where I begin my talk about the end. And all of that I've just spoken about, I take all of that, and I bring all of it with me today, and I put it down, and I stand on it. And in it is a lot of joy and passion and urgency to be seen and to perform and for theatre and so much love. So this is what I bring with me today as I talk to you right here. And this is where my talk starts from, my talk about the end. Some beautiful quotes about the end. Every story has an end, but in life, every ending is just a beginning. Cute. Everything will be okay in the end, If it's not okay, it's not the end. A little bit cheesy. Just because something good ends doesn't mean something better won't begin. That's quite cute. Like that one. So, this theme of the end, there's so much in it, right? There are so many endings in life. You know, you get the end of a conversation, the end of a book, the end of a meal, the end of a day, a split end. You know, there's all these different types of endings. You know, you go to school and then that ends, and then you decide you want to go study at university, and then that ends, and you move on to go do a job, and then you hate the job, so you quit, and then that ends. And then you get another job, and then you get caught stealing, and so you get fired, and that ends. And then you meet the love of your life, and you want to get married to them, but then they realize that you're not the love of their life, so they end that. And then you're really depressed. And then you find out that your best friend is now dating your ex, so you end that relationship. And then you're even more depressed, so you go home and you start drinking, and you put on your favorite song, So We've Come to the End of the Road, and you have a little cry. And then you decide, lekker, I'm going to have a nice bingy weekend of drinking along. Right? You laugh because you know it's true. And then you have this crazy weekend, and then Sunday night comes and you just don't want it to end because you're forgetting about life, but it has to end. And all your friends are leaving, but you don't want it to end, but it has to because Monday's coming, and you know you're going to feel awful, and you'll probably feel even worse on Tuesday. And so you end it. And then you wake up on Monday and you feel awful, and Tuesday you feel awful. And then life goes on, and there's more Mondays and more Tuesdays and more Mondays and more Tuesdays, and eventually you're old and you reach the final ending, death. Cue the music. You can cue the music now. Okay, there's no music. Okay, that's fine. I had this really sad song planned about death, basically, and I was going to be like, death is so hectic, you know, because my father died when I was 23, and then my gran when I was 22, and then one of my best friends when I was 20, and it's so mad, right, death. It's absurd, actually, because the person is there, and then they're not, right? It's like, what? But death actually might not be the end, depending on what you believe, right? If you believe in the big JC up there, you go to heaven. Me, I'm going to hell. Cute. Or, if you are Buddhist, you believe that the death is not the end. You come back as something else. You know, a little meow. Who knows? You know? Or if you don't believe in anything, then that is it. Death is final. Nothing. Basta. Finished and clear. Done. So that is what I'm here to talk to you today about. Death. And dying as the end. Happy Thursday morning, everyone. Goeiemorgen, dumelang, faribonani, good morning. No, I'm kidding. So I'm going to be talking about death, actually, in terms of kind of more a metaphorical sense, right? Dying creatively, or reaching your end creatively. Or more specifically, about this experience that I had last year. God, I'm sorry. I'm so. Sorry. When you try to learn lines. Dying creatively, reaching your end creatively, or about this experience that I had last year on stage where I died so hard and bombed. For those of you who do not know what dying on stage is, it is exactly what happened to me right now, where I forgot my words, freaked out, felt like an idiot, and everyone felt really sorry for me. So, last year I was cast in the show, And I was cast as this like a 30-something-year-old New York businessman who was highly strung, and he was closeted, he was gay but closeted, and then he meets this older man who was a Jewish man. He's also Jewish, by the way. And he meets this older man who's conservative, and they have this kind of like meeting, and they become friends, but then the older man finds out that he is gay, and the older man's like, what? Being gay? No, And, but eventually they become friends. It's not a love story. They don't hook up. They are just friends. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story. So I get cast in the show, and already I'm starting on a bit of an off foot, because this isn't a type of show that I would normally do. There are lots of words, monologues for days, and my character, he just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks. So I'm like, okay, I'm normally used to being like physical and being stupid on stage. So now I really had to put on my like real acting pants and really act. So I was like, okay. Then it's only a 3-week rehearsal period, which isn't very long for a professional kind of full-length show. So that already throws me a little bit. So the rehearsal period goes fine, and we reach the opening night, and I'm feeling quite nervous because we've only had one run-through of the show, and it went like averagely. And also, the thing about opening nights, it is a packed house. I've invited all my friends. All the critics are there, including the one critic that I believe has this grudge against me. She is there. And I know where she is sitting. And also my agent's there, and I haven't seen my agent for like 2 years, and he comes to this show. Thank you very much. So I'm feeling a little bit nervous before I begin, but I try and like suppress all of that and just do my job as I have to. So the show starts, and I walk onto the stage, and I start saying my lines, and it's going okay. And within like 2 minutes, I can feel my mouth is completely dry. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling nervous, right? And I carry on, and then I can feel the audience over there, and over here, and over here. And it's going not so well, and I'm concentrating on this critic who was over there, and I stumble. I'm going to stop talking like that. I stumble over one of... I'll carry on talking like this. So I stumble over one of my words, and that completely throws me. I'm like, okay, just hold it together. And then that causes me to like skip out a line and stumble over another one of my words. And I'm feeling a little bit off balance. I'm freaking out a little bit, but I manage to make it through to the end of the scene. Okay, now I'm really going to stop talking like that. Okay, so I finish the end of that scene, and I walk off stage, and I'm like, God, Roberto, pull yourself together. And I start changing into my next costume, which is my first of 7 costume changes, right? So I start putting on my pants, and I'm going, this is opening night, just relax, come on. And I'm putting things on, and I have 30 seconds to do this costume change. And I'm waiting for my next entrance, and I realize that I put on the wrong costume. Yeah. I feel so sorry for myself. So I realized just in time, so I grab the right pants, and I put the pants on, and then I grab a jersey, and I put it over the wrong thing, and it's the wrong jersey, and I pick up the wrong props, and I go into stage, like... So again, scene 2 just starts off like as a disaster. I'm stumbling over all of my words. I'm kind of finding my way around the script. I'm missing out words. I'm doing things on stage that we have never rehearsed. There's new movements happening from it. I can feel the script just running away from me. I'm just trying to catch it. But it's just so much faster than me. And I feel like, I feel like a deer in headlights. It was awful. And this causes a bit of an avalanche for the rest of the show, right? And this continues until the end of Act 1, where it's the interval. And I run backstage to my co-star, and I say, I'm so sorry, I can't believe this happened. I don't know what's happened, and this is a nightmare, and I'm crying, and he says, Roberto, shh! Just tell the story. I said, okay. And I pull myself together, and I managed to make it through Act 2. It was not good. It was still very, very off, but I managed to make it to the end of Act 2. and finish the show. Big smiles, thank you so much, everyone, thank you. And I leave stage, and I managed to make it out the theatre without saying hi to too many people, and I go straight home, pop 2 sleeping pills, and sleep. And then I wake up the next morning, and I kind of remember what happened the night before, and this all comes flooding back to me. And I feel a little bit dead inside, and I feel mortified, and I feel completely embarrassed for what happened, because it was embarrassing. I was supposed to be really good that night. And I started having this thought, and I've never had this thought ever in my life. I've never had this thought. And the thought was, you know what? I'm done being an actor. I'm done with performance. Why on earth would I want to do this to myself? It is so stressful. Who puts himself on stage every night? It is a very stressful job, those of us who know it as performers here. It's awful. So I was like, I cannot do this anymore. And clearly, I can't handle it. Last night was awful. I can't handle the stress, so I'm done. But obviously, I couldn't just finish my performance career there and then, because I had still another 4 weeks of the show. And I still had another 4 shows booked for the rest of the year. But something shifted for me that morning. And I became obsessed with this idea of failure and dying on stage and trying to prevent myself from dying on stage again. So I became obsessed with failure, and I made this little list for myself. I had this little book, and then I'd note what I ate during the day, and did I do afternoon exercise or morning exercise? What were my anxiety levels like during the day? What was my overall mood for the day? And then I had another little list was about the show, and it said, did the show go well? Yes, no. What was my verbal fluency like? Did I get all my lines right? Yes, no. Did I enjoy the show? Yes, no, whatever. And I was trying to figure out some kind of formula for a good show, right? What I did during the day, did it have any impact on my show at night? So I did this for about 2 weeks, trying to figure out a formula. And unfortunately, there is no formula. None. My findings were inconclusive. No matter what I did during the day, it had no effect on my show at night. And that made me even more anxious, and made me even more not want to be doing what I was doing, right? So this stuck with me for the rest of the year. Throughout all these shows, this feeling of not wanting to be there, and this anxious feeling of, God, what am I doing? I'm not a performer. Every time that I walked on stage, I would not want to be there. I'd be thinking about making it to the end. I'd be thinking about, did I get the laugh right? Did I get the line right? My director's in the thing, so I have to be really, really good tonight. Is my character believable? This is all these thoughts. I was never there, and I was trying to make it to the end unscathed. And when I did reach the end, I was either like super just relieved, right? Or, I hate you, Roberto, you're the worst, what are you doing? You really messed that up. Self-flagellating like mad. So this was a space that I found myself in for about an entire year. And that's not to say that I didn't have some great shows over the year. I really did. I had some amazing shows. But generally, and for the majority of the time, I was super unhappy doing what I was doing, and I didn't want to be doing what I was doing. And this is a very sad space to be in, and a very empty space to be in. All this joy and vitality and urgency for theatre and to perform that I spoke about in the beginning, all of that just disappeared beneath my feet. So this was the space that I was in up until a couple of months ago, before I left for this training in Italy, this teacher training, pedagogic training, when something shifted for me. And so I attend this training, and it's going amazing, I'm loving it. And then halfway through this training, we enter a very specific section of the training. And it's within this section that something starts to shift for me. Something starts becoming unlodged under the surface. And it feels good. And then I realize that within this section, and the section itself and what we're dealing with, was also a massive component of my master's research. Duh. So I put the two things together, and things started to become clear for me. And this component that I'm talking about offered me profound stupidity. And within this profound stupidity, it offered me profound wisdom. And I actually have that component here today because I can show it to you. So just give me a little second. We ready for it? Here we go. Goodbye, Avril. See you later. Love you. Make your way out right now. You too. You're messing up my reveal, but love you. Here it is. Ready for it. This is it. The clown. Cue the music. Music's still not working. That's okay. Don't. Okay. That's fine. So it was the clown that allowed me to pull myself out of this grave of creative death and self-pity that I had found myself in. It was a clown that allowed me to feel this joy and vitality and life, an urgency to perform that I hadn't felt in over a year. And that felt so, so good. So today, when I talk about the clown, I'm not talking about the traditional, circus clown. Although the traditional circus clown is an ancestor to all the different clowns that we see today. Today, I'm talking about the contemporary theatre clown, or contemporary clowning. A little backstory, there's this guy called Jacques Lecoq, and he opens a school in Paris in the late 1950s, and within about 2 years of his school being open, he decides, lekker, I'm going to have clowning in my school. And all Lecoq knows about clowning is that they come from the circus and clowns make us laugh. So he says to his students, next week we will be doing clown. So bring your red nose and bring your amazing costume. Voila! See you next week. So the students arrive next week in their little costumes and with their red noses, and the first exercise is get on stage by yourself and make us laugh. So one by one the students come up and they do their little joke, they try that, audience is not laughing. The next student comes up, no one is laughing. And this happens over and over again, no one is laughing. But then Lecoq notes something. He goes, hold on, the audience actually is laughing, but they're not laughing at the jokes. No, they're laughing at the jokes failing. They're laughing at when that student goes, oh, that dejected performer going to go sit down again. That is when the audience is laughing. Interesting. And then what else he notes? He notes that when that moment happens, there's a sense of naivety and vulnerability that is revealed in the performer. So Lecoq goes, okay, great, failure, naivety, vulnerability, and he puts them together and he goes, this is the basis of contemporary clown training and his clown training. And this starts to form the groundworks for all the contemporary clown training that we find today, majority of it. Now, when you enter contemporary clown training, you are constantly dealing with this concept of failure. It's a very big theme for the clown, wrongness and failure. So when you're making clown sketches or doing a clown show, you are actively looking for the point where the show messes up, where the clown stuffs up, where something goes wrong, right? So what this did for me was I noted two things. Number one, while doing this training, I went, okay, I'm starting to become okay with this concept of failure because I'm dealing with it so much. And it might not be a terrible thing. And number two, I go, hold on, it's not just about the binary of failure and success, or good or bad, or right or wrong, or the beginning or the end, ugly, pretty. No, it is rather what's inside these binaries that is interesting. What is inside failure, where life lives and art and creativity lives. Interesting. So, this sparked a bit of a conversation with me and the clown. So the first thing the clown said to me was, put the red nose on. So I said, okay. And then he said to me, breathe. And then he said to me, connect with your audience. So I connected with my audience. and then he said to me, play, have fun, find pleasure. So when a clown comes on stage, he has to find pleasure in whatever he's doing, no matter what he's doing. For example, and when the clown finds pleasure, so does the audience. And when the audience finds pleasure, they laugh. And laughter for the clown is like food. It's like gold. The clown loves it. That gives the clown life, right? So this concept of pleasure and play, what I took from the clown and this concept of pleasure and play was that I need to be finding pleasure and play in every aspect of my life. As soon as the clown stops playing and stops having fun, the beautiful relationship that's created between the performer and audience, that just dies and then everyone can go home, basically. So I need to put this concept of pleasure into every aspect of my life, particularly my work, right? I force myself to have fun on stage, right? Right now, believe it or not, I'm actually having fun, and I'm forcing myself to do it. Come on. And if I can't, have fun. And if I can't find fun in whatever job I'm doing, I make sure that I'm finding fun in some other area of my life. For example, I had this amazing improv group that I attend on Monday nights. And it's for 2 hours, a group of adults, we get together and we play games and we laugh and we play. And what's amazing about it is that we are not trying to become amazing improvisers. We are going there to have fun. And it's super important for me. And this concept of pleasure has also made me become more selective about the work that I choose in my life. If I can see a job coming from a mile away that I know I'm going to hate or is going to cause me a lot of anxiety or stress, no matter how much that job is going to pay me, I'm not going to take it because pleasure is important for me, but also because my emotional and mental health is super important to me. More important than some money. So then I said to the clown, okay, great, I understand this concept of play and pleasure. But I had this experience last year, clown, and it was really awful where, I died on stage and I'm so scared that it's going to happen again and I was completely terrified. And the clown said to me, shh. When a clown sees fear, he runs directly into fear and he lives in fear and he stays there and he feels what it's like to be scared, and it's scary to be scared. But he lets himself feel it. And this made me start to investigate my own relationship to fear. And also, what was behind my fear of failure for so long? What was behind all of that? So I took a little step back, and I took a step back, and I took a step back. And the beginning of this fear of failure was a small seed, the seed of excitement. Excitement for the creative potential of what my work could be. That I know that my work can be amazing. And that's why I'm so scared of messing it up, because it has potential to be incredible. My teacher, Giovanni Fossetti, says that fear is excitement without breathing. Cute. So, if that's true, if all I need to do is breathe, then my fear should actually become this excitement, right, of the creative potential of my work. This is what I need to be focusing on. Breath, and focusing on how much I really love what I do, as opposed to going, oh, I'm so scared and I'm even going to stuff up so much. And, I need to stay here. And that's just what I have done. And that, it's a small little switch, has actually been quite life-changing for me. Next, the clown started to talk to me about vulnerability. And I said, yes, don't worry, I know vulnerability, and I told him about this thing that happened to me last year after a show. It wasn't a thing, it was a moment. After the show, I got off stage and I went to my little room in Cape Town by myself, and I was self-flagellating, going, oh, I'm the worst performer because I didn't get that laugh right, and I was late on that cue, and I locked myself into my little room in Cape Town, and I drank my rooibos tea by myself. While the rest of the cast was still at the bar enjoying life. Now, and I had this, it's funny, right? I had this little outside moment. I had this moment outside of myself, and I looked at myself, and I started laughing at myself like you were laughing at me right now. And I was like, Roberto, you are so over-dramatic. Just chill the hell out. And then I reflected on what it is performers do for a job. What we do is we walk on stage night after night in front of hundreds of people. Okay, that's an event in itself. Okay, that is not a small thing. That takes courage, right? You are putting yourself in a space of vulnerability. And I love this word vulnerability because it comes from the Latin word meaning to wound. So, if being vulnerable or being in a space of vulnerability, what that means is actually that you are allowing yourself to be wounded. And that's hectic. And when we do clown training, we are actively looking for this point of vulnerability. We are searching for it. We're looking for the point where the performer is allowing themselves to be wounded and is open and receptive to the world. And it can often be quite an emotional, scary place for a performer, right? So the clown said to me, you see, what you do takes courage, so shh. Be kind to yourself. What you do, probably not a lot of people can do, so shh. And he said, you're probably good at what you do, so just hush. Mwah, mwah.
Too far.
And that's where he stopped. So being kind. And then lastly, the clown ended my conversation with him by saying to me, stop thinking about the end. When a clown comes on stage, he is not a fictional persona in a different place and different time. No, he is in the here and now. He is in this WeWork space in front of this audience. This is where the clown lives, in this present moment. The ancient Greeks have this amazing way of looking at time. You have Kronos, who is the personification of time. And Kronos' watch says 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. At 4 o'clock you have a meeting, so you need to go there. And at 6 o'clock, it's that. And at 7 o'clock is yoga. And then 9 o'clock is bedtime, because at 5 o'clock, blah, 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 blah. So Kronos tells us what to do when things start and when things end. And then there's Kairos. And Kairos, who is Zeus's son, Kairos has little wings on his feet. And he has this tuft of hair over here. And he flies around you. And when you see him, you have to grab him. But if you aren't present enough, and if you're not in the moment, you might just catch him, you might just see him, but he's flown away already. And you try, but he's bald over here, so you... Cute. So what Kairos teaches us is to be present in the moment. Kairos is about taking opportunities. We need to take the opportunity. So when a clown is on stage, he lives with Kairos. He's in Kairos time. Kairos' watch doesn't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kairos' time watch just says the present moment. Right. The clown does not think about time when he's on stage. He's looking for every opportunity to play, have fun, connect with the audience. Right. So very simply, the clown has taught me to breathe and just be in the present moment, especially when I'm on stage, just to be present with what is happening. And also, even when I'm teaching, just to stay there, as opposed to thinking about everything else, things that are going to come reaching the end. And what's amazing about also being in the present moment is things like play and pleasure and excitement. All of these things just click into place naturally. Now, a lot of these concepts that I've spoken about today, people have written books on them, fear and vulnerability and excitement and play. People have made amazing TED Talks on these concepts, right? People have done research on them. But what I love about the clown is the clown encapsulates all of those concepts very simply into a little red nose. Thank you very much. Cue the music.
Intentionally failing. I mean, it works as a clown, but do other people do that? Is there a way that other people can do that, or is that just are we living vicariously through you, or is there a way, I suppose, for other people to try and do that in their lives, like just not stress about failure? Or what?
I suppose also that for me, as I said kind of a little bit during my talk, while kind of I was also researching a lot about failure and writing a lot about it, so in my psyche, and also again with clown, where you want to fail, that is what you're looking for, right? You're looking for the moment where things go wrong. Through all of that, I kind of started to become used to it. So, my only advice is that fail more to become kind of, so you can kind of normalize it a little bit just for yourself, so it doesn't become this massive moment in your life, right? Which is what's kind of starting to happen for me. So that's the only advice I can give you. Thanks, James. You're such a failure, and we love you.
Any other questions?
And it's also fine if there's no questions. If you want to make a sound, joking.
Hi. Earlier on you mentioned that you lost your dad at a very young age and you lost your best friend, blah, blah, blah. So my question to you is, at that age, how did you deal with understanding that, death isn't really the end of the world? It doesn't really mean that now that I've lost my dad, because I lost both my parents at a very young age. And at that point, it was so difficult for me to still remember that I still have a life of my own that I still need to pick up on. So what I would like to know is, what did you do to kind of feel like, I still have something to live for, I still have something that I need to do, and not just go jump over a bridge, if you get what I'm trying to say.
When my father died, and also that I'd experienced a couple of bit more deaths, when I remember when my father died and I got back, I was in the National Arts Festival, and I got back after my father had died, back to Krugersdorp. And I walked into my house and things looked differently. Things didn't look the same, colors were different. It was just this really weird space to be in. And your kind of entire world starts to seem different, actually. Just things weren't what they were before. So I suppose for me it was just about going, okay, this is my life right now. It looks different. And also my dad was a breadwinner, which meant a lot of different things also, and had a lot of consequences for my family, right? So I suppose it was just about accepting what your new life now is without this person who was so central in your life, and kind of working with that, and also just taking it slow, not to be like, you know what I mean? Just really calming down and going, this is life now. Very simply. Yeah. Thank you.
I just want to say you're divine.
What is my quote? Oh, that's beautiful. The second one was the worst.
Every story has an end, but in life, every ending is just the beginning. So this is the end of Creative Mornings, but it's the beginning of your Thursday. So thank you for coming. There's a little bit more of a snack. I'm sure we can encourage them to make another coffee for us over here. But if you want to also just rampage through the building, steal whatever you can, break out as quickly as you can. So thank you for coming, and we'll see you in 1 month's time.